Hi, and welcome to the Funky Fresh Comic Show with your hosts, Funky Fresh and Amateur Specialist.
What's good?
Yeah, how's it going?
It's going alright, man. You know.
Chilling.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, this is a first for me. I know it's a first for you, but like we're doing this together, so it'll be a great time.
Yeah, dude.
Um,
I'm excited.
yeah, so am
Scared
I.
shitless, but it'll be alright.
Just to explain what we're doing here, you know, me and my buddy, like since we met, probably been talking about comic book stuff and like we've gone to see a lot of movies and stuff together. At this point, I would say,
Yeah.
and, like because of this like common interest, I stopped one day and I was like, hey, we should talk about this stuff, or at least our opinions on all of this, and like. I figured that this was probably the best format to do it. I was I was considering doing like talking like style YouTube videos where we just like sit and record and do that stuff. But I figured like a podcast is like way more accessible, probably a little bit easier to edit on my end, but like we're chilling.
Podcasts are also chill as hell, man. Like,
Yeah, podcasts are like
so
a way
chill,
more
bro.
laid back than most videos. I would
Yeah.
imagine. I feel like this will be a good time. I hope people like resonate, or not resonate with what we're saying, but like really like us
Hopefully,
enough
dude.
to keep watching,
I
Like
mean, it's not like we're gonna get like all haters, bro. Like,
yeah, I feel like we won't. I feel like we're
nah.
just two dudes having a good time talking about
Sounded a little whack
whatever.
there, but whatever.
What do you mean, dog?
Just two
Just two dudes.
having a good time. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I feel like this will be something fun for both of us, and something that we'll probably like have a good time doing. Like this is like a nice format for me to portray my opinions and stuff
Yeah.
about comic book stuff as like someone, because my background in all of this is like I've been watching comic book movies and playing comic book games, at least like since I was very young. Like some of my earliest memories are playing the original Tobey Maguire, like Spider-Man 1 Spider-Man game.
Yeah.
And like since then, like I've always had a love for like a lot of these characters. Not even necessarily like the Avengers, like the MCU has been portraying. Like my first introduction to superheroes is probably like Fantastic Four, the X-Men, Spider-Man, and like those are very near and dear to my heart.
Yeah.
So now that we're in this era of like the MCU kind of leaning more into those elements, especially like with Spider-Man, because in my opinion, I think they've done a good job with him. There's some aspects I don't like, but like I think they've done very well.
Yeah, no, I started off differently. I wasn't into it as young as you were, but you know, at some point I fell in love with it all, and now I'm here.
It's all very interesting. I think like a common misconception about a lot of like comic book stuff is that it's like the nerdiest, like most niche material, but really there's something in comics that I think everyone can enjoy.
Yeah.
And I really want to convey that with us like talking about some of this stuff,
Yeah.
I feel like this is like the best format for us to like do this stuff. Plus it's just us shooting the shit about comics and like movies and stuff like we normally do. Like we're not just doing this for the podcast. Like we do this for fun.
Like, literally.
Like
that's why I'm like, even if we don't get anyone listening, like it's just like
it's
whatever.
Still fun. This is
doing this for us.
This is what we do normally.
Yeah.
We do this without being recorded most of the time.
Yeah, exactly.
So with that being said, I feel like we should just jump into it. Like what do you want to touch on first? Because I have I have like a couple of things to say about specifically like the Doctor Strange footage that just dropped, but I know that like we also we said we were going to talk about Spider-Man prior to this. I don't know if you have any thoughts on No Way Home you wanted to offer, like in retrospect, because I think I've seen it probably 3 times over
as well.
the past couple months.
Yeah.
Like not getting into our thoughts on it yet, but like the well, like on the movie as a whole, but like what do you think is gonna come out of like all of that now that the film's over, that Tom Holland's like concluded his first trilogy and everything?
Dude, I don't know. I'm excited to see where it goes, especially after that ending. I mean, am I allowed to spoil it on here?
I think so. It's the middle
True.
of
It's been
February.
like
I
months,
feel like
yeah.
it came out December 17th. It's been 2 months. I think you're allowed to talk about it. You can say more.
Yeah. After that ending, it's just kind of like I'm excited to see where it goes because like it went from like him just like being a kid and being all like not wholesome in a way, but like kind of wholesome, and now it's like he's moving out. He's an adult now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to see where that goes. You know,
So am I. You know, I
kind
think
of
that
finding himself.
I was thinking about this recently actually, that like I well, we're the same age, so I could say this that it relates to both of us. Like we probably kind of grew up with this iteration of the character.
Mm,
Like cuz like in the MCU when he started, like he was probably like the character was 15 years old. Uh,
yeah,
and that can be inferenced from like Spider-Man: Homecoming, where he directly tells Tony, "I'm 15," and it's supposed to be set a couple months after Civil War.
yeah,
And then in Infinity War, it comes out, and it came out in 2018. It's been 2 years since Civil War, so he would have been 16, 17. Uh,
yeah,
and now this film has come out, and he like, and Far From Home, and now he's like basically 18 years old. He's just graduated high school. Like,
yeah,
it's crazy to say that I've had like an iteration of Spider-Man that like not necessarily had the same trajectory as me, but like I basically aged with the character, and
yeah, exactly.
that's very nice to be able to say that, because that was like
Yeah,
a backbone of like my school years, you know?
yeah,
It was very nice to grow up with that character. I really am excited to see what they do next with him, especially since like the rumors are that the next trilogy, because Amy Pascal, you know, a producer at Sony, like
yeah.
the Spider-Man producer at Sony instead of Avi Arad, you know, longtime Spider-Man ruiner. Um, uh,
Yeah.
at the, I think it was either at the premiere or like an interview after the premiere, was saying that they were basically working on another trilogy with Marvel Studios and Tom. And
Yeah.
it could be, a lot of people are thinking that it's going to take place with him in college, which I'm very excited by, because
Yeah.
Peter Peter Parker in college means characters like Gwen Stacy or Harry Osborn, um, which I'm
Yeah.
very excited about. Also, like
As well.
if they introduce Harry, if they do, you can't have Harry without Norman. And
Exactly.
I feel
Exactly.
like I don't know who they would cast as the MCU's Norman, seeing as we just got Willem Dafoe, and now he's like been terrorizing Spider-Man for 20 years.
Yeah, the goat, man. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Like the MCU's Norman Osborn, like if they make one on that Earth, like is gonna have to be way worse than Willem Dafoe, man. He suplexed
Yeah.
Tom Holland through a building. Who else has done that?
Yeah.
Nobody.
I feel like it's doable though. Like even if you look at like Heath Ledger's Joker compared to like Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, like
Yeah.
it's doable again, and like you can definitely make another. Like the Joker's a very good example of where like you can have two good actors play them very differently but very well.
Hmm.
So I think it's possible. Like you don't want like Willem Dafoe is good. He always will be
Yeah.
as Green Goblin, but you also like you can't be too biased to Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair. I feel
Because
like
like someone could come along and just ace his character again, which I hope they do. But
that's true.
we'll see.
I feel like though my thing with that, not necessarily that they shouldn't do it again, but I feel like because Norman has already occupied the space of the MCU in a sense through Willem Dafoe, uh it's like where do you go after that? Especially because like there's not a greater loss you could deal to Spider-Man than killing his fucking aunt, and that's what he did.
Yeah. Jesus, yeah.
Like the only thing you could do is like build up like if it were me doing like the Spider-Man college trilogy, if I was writing and directing that shit, what I would do if you were going to do Norman again is like you do the first movie since these Tom Holland films have like actually done the multiple villains in a film thing well, except like really Far From Home only had Mysterio, but like the first like Homecoming had like uh two Shockers, the Scorpion and the Vulture, and then I like obviously like we got like a really close, like we could have had the Sinister Six, but they only did 5 villains in No Way Home. Really, we were this close. um, but yeah, no, I feel like if it were me doing it and I wanted to use Norman as a villain, I wouldn't use him in the first or second film. He'd have to be built up as like someone ominous in the background throughout the first two. And then in the third one, he needs to lose his shit and become the Green Goblin. And what I would do simultaneously is build up a relationship between Peter and Gwen Stacy and then have Norman kill her.
Jesus.
Because not that Gwen should exist as like a plot device just to fucking die, because she
Jesus, man.
But like, but like, I feel like Peter's most personal loss in the comics is that, or like his greatest failure or whatever is that he couldn't save Gwen. Like no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't. And I feel like if you introduce that into the MCU, you have room for like even more growth for this character, where he like, because he already knows he can't save everyone. He's probably been dealt the most personal loss he's ever been dealt through the death of Marissa Tomei's Aunt May. But like I feel like there's room, if you're going to use Norman again, there's room for that in a way where like Andrew's like, because the only death of Gwen Stacy we've seen on screen at least is Andrew Garfield's films where she dies, like where Emma Stone dies.
Which
And I
also,
feel like
that was done really well. That's why I love Andrew Garfield's.
I think it was executed well also, but I also feel like Harry coming out of nowhere and killing her as the Green Goblin kind of makes, in my opinion, no sense.
So true. Yeah.
I would have been fine if they did it where like maybe Electro killed her by accident.
Yeah.
Because like Harry, as far as it stands, like Harry becoming the Green Goblin and being like, I'm gonna take away all your hope, and trying to kill her, like that wasn't really built up that well, in my opinion.
No.
I think the scene is executed beautifully. And even if you look at the behind the scenes stuff for that, it's like crazy. Not even like where like not like they had them on rigs and Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone were just tumbling through the air. But like apparently like they had him separated from her for a long time so that when he had that reaction to her passing, it was apparently that was a thing they did where they didn't see each other for a while and they were like dating and like living together or something like that. Like
what?
I think that was something like was a for real thing.
I didn't know that.
I'm pretty sure that was part of it. Let me
Jeez, man.
Let me use Google, the source of all answers.
Yes.
Yeah, but I swear to God that was a real thing.
I did not know that. That's hardcore. God damn.
Well, the performance is good though.
Oh,
insane. The performance is good.
Yeah.
Let me just like, because he sells that very, very well.
Yeah.
One moment.
Okay.
I just Google is not working. Well, it's working. I I don't know. I heard that somewhere. I'm gonna just say it. My sources, bro. The sources, bro. Trust me right now, bro. I wouldn't put it past them though, because like the director of those movies, like that guy directed 500 Days of Summer. He likes to direct. Yeah, he did. Mark Webb. He likes to direct very personal stories, so I don't doubt that that's a tactic he would have used to get like just a raw emotional performance out of Andrew. What was I gonna say? Yeah, no, I think going back to what I was saying, Gwen Stacy in the MCU shouldn't be a plot device, but also like I feel like Gwen and Norman are always on this like crash course with like fate, you know, where like that's what happens to her most like more often than not.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a big opportunity for growth for the character because like I feel like his arc after like after the high school trilogy where he like lets go of like his friends and his girlfriend and like basically being the Peter Parker that he always was.
Yeah.
Like I feel like it'll be probably a big element of the newer films that he won't want to let anyone into his life for fear of them getting hurt, like his aunt or like MJ or like Ned. And like he'll learn to overcome that, but then he'll kind of get that reminder again, like maybe Norman killing Gwen.
I don't know.
I
don't know if I'm ready to see another Gwen death scene. You know.
I don't think so either.
I'm thinking like emotionally,
like,
dude. I don't know if I can take it, bro.
I feel like the only thing that would be worse to me is if like I think I don't know if they'll do this because Tom Holland is such a massive name.
Yeah.
But because Miles Morales has been hinted at existing in the MCU already. Like his uncle is played by Donald Glover in Spider-Man Homecoming. Like that throwaway line where he's like like I got a nephew that lives around here. I don't want those weapons around. Like that's about Miles.
Yeah.
So traditionally, or at least on like Earth 1610, like the Ultimate Universe, Miles becomes Spider-Man after Peter dies. Like so just to sum it up quickly, Spider-Man and Captain America are like about to do training, and Captain America basically tells Spider-Man he's completely not ready to do superhero shit. Like he basically calls him like a little boy. Like, by the way, before I get into more of this, Ultimate Captain America is a fucking dick. He's the worst.
Yeah.
The costume is cool. He's a piece of shit. Anyways, Peter wanting to prove himself, he follows him to where the Ultimates are gathering. And like his spider sense goes off and he realizes that it's because someone's about to shoot Cap with a sniper bullet, and he tackles him and he takes the bullet for Cap. And then the Avengers, or not the Avengers, the Ultimates basically leave him there while they go to deal with everything else. And he's making his way to the fucking hospital. And then simultaneously, the Sinister Six of the Ultimate Universe are gathering and they're like, well, we know who he is. Let's go to his fucking house and kill him. So on his way to the hospital, he sees that the entire Sinister Six is making a beeline for his house, where his aunt and like Mary Jane and like his aunt Mary Jane, Gwen Stacy, and then Iceman and the Human Torch are there. And he's like, well, I that's not good. I gotta go stop that. Like he doesn't even take the time to go. Like he doesn't think about it. He just webs up his bullet wound and he goes. He gets there. Iceman and the Human Torch like fight off the Sinister Six for a little bit, and he gets there without his mask on, taunts them, takes them down one by one.
Oh my god!
Basically, fucking kills the Green Goblin by just crushing him with a semi.
Jesus.
And then he like bleeds out, and before he does, he's like, "I did it, May. I saved you. I couldn't save Uncle Ben, but I saved you. I did good." and he passes away in Mary Jane's arms. The last like I think panel of that issue was him and his Uncle Ben just walking into the light, which is like it made me cry. Because Ultimate Peter Parker like was a young kid, man. I think he only died at like 16 years old. Just fucked. Anyways, the way Miles comes into that is that he had his powers for a little bit before that time, and he was watching like in the crowd kind of when that shit was going down. So he feels partially responsible for Peter dying because he's like, oh, I gotta help, or I should have helped him. And he wanting to fill the void that Peter left behind because he has similar powers. He buys like a Spider-Man Halloween costume. And he starts being Spider-Man without web shooters, I may add. But he like has his Venom blast and everything, and then he gets his web shooters later by like I think either Gwen Stacy or like Aunt May figures out who he is. And they give him Peter's old web shooters, and then he gets like Shield issue ones later, I think.
Yeah, man. No, I don't know. I don't know. I really would love to see a Miles Morales in the MCU, but it's like because they're doing that with Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
Like, do you think they would kind of make like standalone movies and stuff for him in the MCU? I mean, I would love to see it, but
I think so because the way I see it is that Sony has their own version of the character. Sony technically has their own version of like Peter as well because they have they have Andrew, they have Toby.
Yeah.
Technically, they also have Tom. Like they have the Spider-Man from the Spider-Verse films, right? But I think Marvel will probably see the opportunity to like have like a Miles in live action that could be like one representation for like a bunch of young kids.
Yeah, of course.
That are like of the same like heritage as him. And two, like they probably like there's a lot of avenues to explore when you do stories with Miles. Because like even in comics recently, like Peter has been in his like mid-20s or so for the past like couple of years. And Miles has been like since he's been on Earth 616 has been their avenue to tell Spider-Man stories that can be relatable to kids. Because he started being Spider-Man when he was like 12 or 13. Now canonically, I think he's like 16 or 17 years old. So you have this avenue to tell stories for like more adult Spider-Man readers through Peter. But then you also have the ability to tell like more not kid oriented, but like things that could be relatable for like people in school or like younger people with Miles. And I feel like that's what they'll probably seek because like Spider-Verse is a very like while it does deal with some of the aspects of like Miles being like a teenager and being Spider-Man, it's a very like fantastical film, you know, like it deals with like him transcending dimensions and shit to meet other spider people and like do all this stuff. And like No Way Home did that as well with Andrew and Toby, but also like No Way Home, like they more show up just as like basically as cameos. Like they have lines and they do stuff, but like they don't their stake in the story isn't as like significant as like Peter B. Parker and Spider-Verse's was. Or like Spider-Man Noir or something like that, you know? Which, fun fact, apparently they were going to reach out to Tobey Maguire to voice Peter B. Parker, but they were like, that'll be too confusing for people if we do that.
When is the next Spider-Verse coming out?
I think November or December of this year. Like it's supposed to come out in 2022. I don't know the exact day. I just know it's like the fourth quarter of this year. From what I remember.
Damn, so end of this year.
Yeah, shit. Which I'm very excited for that. I'm
hoping
for personally is that we get more like really good superhero content this year. Not that I don't think superhero content from last year was good, because obviously we got like gems like Falcon the Winter Soldier and like What If and like all the Marvel films that released last year. But like I feel like we're now that like all the Avengers are essentially gone. Like only half of them are still like the original ones. I mean, only half of them are still operational in the MCU. Like there's a lot of new avenues to introduce these new characters. Like for example, like Moon Knight's coming out next month.
Oh, really? That's
that. It's like March. When is Moon Knight coming out? It's in March. I just don't remember.
I saw the trailer.
When? 1 second. I'm gonna move my mic to the side.
March 30th.
March 30th. Yeah.
2022.
Yeah. And I'm excited for that because I like Moon Knight as a character. I like that they're not shying away from the fact that he is a deeply troubled character. Like they didn't shy away from the fact that he has dissociative identity disorder. Because instead of like his typically his fronting alter or whatever in the comics is like Mark Spector, like of his civilian identities. But they decided to make it his more like street level-ish, like regular dude alter, Stephen Grant. There's also been like not set footage, but like stills from the show of like Mr. Knight, and like we've obviously seen him in the Moon Knight costume in the trailer. Like there's someone refers to him as Mark. Like I'm very excited for that. I'm excited to see Oscar Isaac act insane for several hours.
Yeah. I don't know too much about Moon Knight, if I'm honest, but
he's a very interesting character. Do you like? If you want me to run over his like backstory or something quickly, I can.
No, I can do it on my own time. I'm like, damn.
Yeah, he's very cool. Like a lot of the intrigue of him is like a lot of people speculate that either he is schizophrenic and he's just like a deeply talented but like also like deeply mentally ill individual that's like fighting crime, or he's actually been blessed with the powers of Khonshu, which in the comics they kind of revealed that he's not insane. Cause fun fact, this is one of my favorite panels ever. Thor threw Mjolnir at him, and then he just stuck his hand out and like telekinetically stopped it from hitting him. And he's like, "Your hammer's made of moon rocks, Thor. It's not hurting me."
I did not. Jesus.
Which is like that's the coldest panel ever. Also, aside from that, one of my favorite comic panels of all time is he meets the Punisher. To be like they were like trying to recruit him for like a secret Avengers thing, I guess. And Punisher walks up to him. He's like, "Hey, Mark, still crazy?" He's like, "Yeah, a little bit. Still a murderer?" He's like, "A little bit. How's your fake moon god?" And then Moon Knight looks at him. He's like, "He's good. How's your dead family?" He's the only person to say some shit like that and live, man.
Fuck, man.
That's Moon Knight is a fucking savage, bro.
Yeah.
Demon,
dude. God damn.
It's so funny. Like he's such a he's a very cool character, and I'm excited to see him make his debut.
Speaking of Punisher, man, have they taken Daredevil and all the Marvel shows off Netflix yet?
I think it's by the end of this month they were supposed to.
This month, man.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
But the reason they're doing that is that the distribution rights, I think, lapsed from Netflix. Which means they'll probably show up on like either Hulu or like, because we're in Canada, it'll show up on Disney Plus under Star.
Yeah.
Yeah, here. When will the Marvel Netflix shows be on Disney Plus? Netflix has confirmed that many Marvel shows, including Daredevil, Jessica Jones, and Iron Fist, are leaving the streaming service. As of that, it seems likely they could be heading to Disney Plus. So I looked into this a while ago.
Yeah.
Apparently, Netflix was just distributing the shows, but Disney and ABC were the ones making them. So Disney handled the whole production. So realistically, what they could do is just move all the stuff to like Disney Plus or Hulu. Which seems probably the most likely. Also, considering Charlie Cox appeared as Daredevil in Spider-Man No Way Home, like he appeared as Matt Murdock, and Vincent D'Onofrio appeared as Kingpin in Hawkeye. It seems very likely that we could be looking at a Daredevil revival, and I'm very excited about that because, like, probably if I were to rank my favorite live action comic book TV shows, Daredevil's like right at the top, the best one.
Agreed. Yeah.
Season 2 is like, I'll be honest, season 2 is a weaker season. It did introduce like very interesting characters like Elodie Young as Elektra and John Bernthal as the Punisher. It's a weak season, but even that I still enjoy. And like season 3 is just like actual superhero television gospel. It's so
it was insane.
I know because you watched it recently. You weren't put on Daredevil when I got put on Daredevil. I showed you clips and then you were like, "This is the greatest shit I've ever seen."
Yeah, I binged it over the course of like maybe a week or two because I was working, but like it was still insane. Like that was all I watched constantly.
Mm-hmm. I know.
I loved every bit of it.
It's a very good show. Like all the Netflix shows I think have good qualities except for maybe Iron Fist. Not even because I don't like the character, because like it just apparently Finn Jones was cast like 2 weeks before shooting, so they didn't have time to actually train him, and then it would be like 15 minutes for them to try to teach him the choreography. Season 2 improves on a lot of the bad stuff from season 1, but like it doesn't save the show. Like that show would have been infinitely more interesting after like the finale of season 2, which I won't get into because I know you haven't seen it. It like that show, like season 2 was it was okay. Jessica Jones, I think the last season was like a weaker one. Actually no, not the last season. The second season was the weak season of Jessica Jones. Because I feel like they tried to do too much with that one. Luke Cage season 1 was actually like great. Coming from me, like I'm a mixed race black person, seeing I'm like black and white. Seeing like a strong black man doing the shit that he gets up to, like really just made me so happy. Like I was probably, when did the first season of that show come out? I was probably in like middle school when that was coming out.
Yeah, I watched it when it came out, and I was like, "This is actually really good."
It was really good. Like I loved the music. I loved how they didn't shy away from like his powers, like being like not that flashy, but also being very powerful. Because like a lot of people underestimate how strong Luke Cage is. In the comics, like he could apparently, I think there was like a fight he had with maybe the Hulk or some other strong being, and like you could like in the panel it said you could feel shockwaves or like hear that shit from like blocks and blocks away. He's hitting so hard. He's very cool. I like
very good character. I love him.
I like Heroes for Hire in general. Like I understand where people come from where they say Iron Fist kind of plays into a white savior trope and stuff.
Yeah. I've never heard that. Wait, what?
Well, people have like throughout his whole history, people have talked about how like Danny Rand as a character is kind of offensive because he gets dropped into this like monastery in like a fictional city and adopts like all of their way of life, and he's like a white person who came in and like basically took their culture and like took a bunch of shit, right?
Yeah.
And I can see where that argument comes from, but when I view Iron Fist, I always view him through the lens of like how he is in Heroes for Hire titles more than like him on his own. Because I could give two shits about some of the stuff that like he gets up to on his own. When he's with Luke is when the character is at his best, I feel. Because it's like a buddy cop thing. And on top of that, I think that was one of the first titles, like not even like the Heroes for Hire titles, but more like it was one of the first titles where a person of color was featured first, like before the white dude, which like doesn't happen much because like most comic book heroes, like if we're being honest, are like straight white dudes. And they're amending that with a lot of characters, which I think is great. Which I used to not think it was great, but that comes from like me being a dumb, uneducated kid. Like I used to be like an edgelord like comic book reader for like a long time.
Really?
I'm not. Yeah, when I was younger, I was like, if I'm being honest with myself, kind of a piece of shit. Like I'm
Jesus.
not now. I'm
Yeah.
not now.
Yeah.
But I feel like I don't know. I like a lot of the new stuff they're doing now. Like for example, before I used to one of my favorite Marvel characters is Iceman.
Mhm.
And a couple years ago they revealed that Iceman had been gay this whole time. And when I was a kid, I had a problem with that. I used to view it under the lens of like, oh, they're just doing this for money. First of all, no, they're not. A lot of big companies don't really give a shit about like representation. More often than not, the writers do. And like, I feel like the writer was just trying to do that to like put a character that was like hundreds of thousands of people out there in the world that they could look up to.
Yeah.
Because Iceman is one of the original X-Men. He's one of the most powerful members of the X-Men. Like, there's a lot he can do with his powers, and like that is very interesting. Now, I still have issues with him being gay, but not necessarily him being gay. It's just how he was outed was fucking atrocious.
What happened?
So it was a couple years ago. The young version of the first class of X-Men, so like all of the original X-Men as teenagers. So a teenage version of Cyclops, Jean Grey, Beast, Angel, and Iceman all got brought to present day. And I think Iceman, I can't remember what led up to it. I think he might have been hitting on some girl. And then Jean, who is a psychic, stops him. She's like, Bobby, why'd you do that? He's like, what are you talking about? What do you mean, why would I do that? She's like, Bobby, come on, you know. He's like, what are you talking about? And then she just goes, you're gay.
What the Jesus?
Which is so fucked up because from what we've known about Jean Grey in the comics,
yeah,
she doesn't use her telepathy on people without just asking. So going to Iceman being like, "Hey, I looked in your thoughts. You're actually gay. You're not straight, weirdo." That's so fucking weird. Even as a teenager, like that feels like such a violation of his privacy to be like, "What, you like men?" Like it makes no sense.
What the fuck? Jeez. Yeah, man, I don't know. I never I never really cared about that stuff. I was just kind of like, they got dope powers or whatever. I like them,
Yeah.
I never really
Like
paid attention to it.
a lot of like big characters now have been revealed to be like LGBTQ plus, which is nice. Like even recently with like I know we've been talking about like Marvel stuff so far, but like John Kent as Superman was revealed to be bisexual. That's pretty cool. Batwoman's been getting a lot of attention, although I don't like that show. I like that like there's a strong, empowered like LGBT QIA character in the spotlight.
Speaking
there's a
of
lot of good stuff to do there.
Batwoman and Bat People, that new Batman, dude. I'm excited.
So did you see the new clip?
The new clip.
There was like it's like a clip of him and Gordon. They're like in an interrogation room, but like they know everyone can see them, right? And they're like getting up close to each other, like they're having an argument, but they're just talking civilly. And then Batman just fucking decks him in the face and knocks him out. I saw that clip. I'm not even joking. That's actually something that happens. I saw that clip on TikTok and I immediately went to the comments. I was like, this is about to be the funniest shit I've ever seen. All the comments were like, that felt racially motivated. Because Gordon in the new movies is black. They were like, there was something about that, the way he threw that punch that felt wrong.
Yeah.
Which like, fuck, man. Like that, I'm very excited for that movie, but like, from what I've seen from the clip, he doesn't even warn him that he's about to knock him out. He just does it.
Yeah.
He's like, it's like the DC equivalent to the Amazing Spider-Man, where he like webs up the lizard and then he catches Gwen. And he's like, "I'm gonna throw you out the window now," and he does it.
Yeah, I'm mostly excited for Catwoman. You know.
Yeah, I feel you. I love Zoe Kravitz.
Yeah.
Like, I also Catwoman, like, other than like Gotham, has not gotten an on-screen portrayal since Michelle Pfeiffer in Batman Returns.
Oh yeah.
So I'm very excited for that. I feel also, speaking as like someone who, like, I played the Arkham games, like I've played every single one. I didn't 100% all of them because that I'm lazy. But
yeah.
but like, even from the Arkham games, like, I love her character in those, and like, not that I'm saying like it needs to be that, but like seeing another major portrayal of Catwoman really excites me.
I think it'll be good, man.
I think
no
so
matter
too.
what.
Well, the entire cast is great actors. Like, they picked amazing actors for everybody.
Robert Pattinson, dude. Insane.
Oh, he was. I'm so excited for. I feel like they're gonna greenlight a whole trilogy off the back of this. I hope, though. I hope that I feel like they're gonna try to do the whole shared universe thing again, but I feel like they need to actually be careful. Like, they need to have a plan for it, because so far the DCEU has not been planned out whatsoever.
No. not the greatest.
Not in the best way. Like, let's be honest. I don't think Zack Snyder like knew what the fuck he was doing when he wrote Man of Steel. I think what happened was he did that. It was received well enough that they were like, "Hey, do you want to do Batman versus Superman?" And then he did it. And then, because I'll give him credit for this. I've seen his storyboards for Justice League Parts 1 and 2. They're great. I think they're great. They're kind of edgelordy, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Like, there are certain aspects I don't like apparently Superman and Lois having a kid, and then it turns out that kid is Batman's for some fucking reason. That's weird.
Wait a minute.
I'm not joking. That was part of it.
Oh.
I'm not making that up.
Oh boy.
This is not. I'm not pulling your leg.
Jesus.
I don't like that stuff, but everything else is basically like an adaptation of Injustice. I liked that. I love the Injustice games. They're my favorite superhero games. Other than they're my favorite DC superhero games, aside from like the Arkham games, I should say. And like literally the Lego DC games, because those are great.
Every Lego game has been fire.
Except for controversial opinion, Lego Batman 3 is not that good.
I haven't played that one.
That one's not that great. Lego Batman 1 and 2, and then Lego DC Supervillains are some of the best Lego games I've ever played. Yeah. But Lego Batman 3 is just, it's not that great in my opinion. I think that because I think all the Lego games are fun. I've played almost all of them, surprisingly.
I've played a couple of them here and there. And then everyone that I've played so far has been like really good.
I know for a fact you've played Lego DC Supervillains because I was at your house and you had it.
Found it in my basement.
Yeah, I feel like going back to what we were talking about with the Batman film. I feel like with all of these powerhouse actors, and I don't say that in terms of like they're powerhouses in terms of status. I mean in terms of like raw talent. Yeah. They got the best cast they could have, and I'm very excited for that film. I'm excited for it to happen.
Did you see talking about going back to kind of like more DC stuff, did you see that video of Ezra Miller? Like, what was he saying? He was like telling
my god,
a KKK member,
was threatening the KKK. He's like, if you guys want to die, I suggest you just kill yourself. I was like,
funniest part was that he was wearing the flash ring.
Wearing the flash ring the whole video. You've angered the guy that could kill you, and like just like that.
Yeah.
In the snap of a finger.
I remember opening Twitter and just being like, what What is happening?
That was some of the funniest shit I think I've ever seen on comic book Twitter, because everyone was like, is he gonna like show up in the Flash suit and just murder him?
Yeah.
Imagine, like, the only thing that would have made that funnier is if if Grant Gustin replied to him and was like, I'll help you, and he was just actually wearing his Flash suit from the show.
Yeah.
It would have been hilarious.
Yeah, that's just gonna be the plot of the new Flash movie.
Ezra Miller and Grant Gustin as the Flash.
Yeah, just fighting off the KKK. Yeah,
I'd pay to watch that.
I would too.
Honestly, like that's like that joke Donald Glover did about Michael Cera playing Shaft. I'd go broke watching that.
Yeah. What the fuck?
Have you never heard that?
I've never heard that.
That was about, okay, so when they were doing casting for The Amazing Spider-Man, someone said Donald Glover, and then that got a lot of traction.
Yeah.
And then in his own words, the other half, like one half of the fan base was like, "Oh my God, he'd be so good. I'd love to see. We're not going to see the next one unless Donald Glover is playing Peter Parker, because Miles didn't exist at this point when they were casting that film." And then in his words, the other half was like, "He's Black Killer." He'd like wake up to like people just say the weirdest shit, and he's like, I didn't look at any of the comments except for one where it was like, they're just gonna make Spider-Man black now. Just gonna make Spider-Man black. Why don't we have Michael Cera play Shaft? As if Shaft and Spider-Man are the same level of importance.
Yeah.
I thought that was so stupid. But that's also like that from that whole comedy set he did. This isn't comic book related. That's probably the most memorable joke for me, other than the fucking other than the kids are like tiny Hitlers one.
I haven't heard that, dude.
We gotta watch that together sometime. It's actually one of my favorite stand-up sets I've ever seen. Anyways.
Yeah.
Going back to what were we talking about? Batman?
And like DCU, I think.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I'm still dead over Ezra Miller.
Oh yeah, no, that was actually very funny. I kind of want to spoil the Peacemaker cameo for you because I think you'd find it very funny, but
You can.
I apologize for this. I know you haven't seen it yet, but like it's literally been all over like Twitter and TikTok, so I'm kind of just like,
yeah, it's fine.
HBO Max did it before I did.
Yeah.
So right at the end of Peacemaker, after they're walking away from like the final battle, like with these spoiler alert aliens and shit that they're fighting, the Justice League shows up, like Superman, Jason Momoa. Like you don't see Superman or Wonder Woman's faces, but like Jason Momoa and Ezra Miller like were there as the Flash and Aquaman.
Oh my, that's actually funny. What the fuck?
And then Peacemaker's like, "You're late, you fucking dickheads." And he looks at Aquaman and he's like, "Go fuck another fish, you asshole." Aquaman turning to the Flash goes, "I'm so sick of that fucking rumor." And then the Flash goes, "It's not a rumor." And the Aquaman just responds with, "Fuck you, Barry." Which like I think is in character for these guys. If I'm honest. For those two specifically, I think that's fine.
Yeah.
Cause like the response I've seen to that on Twitter is like a bunch of people being like, they're just erasing everything Zack Snyder did. James Gunn is the only person who's used those characters since 2017.
Yeah, pretty much.
The Snyder cut coming out.
Yeah.
On top of that, like I don't think that James Gunn like did that to shit on Zack Snyder. I think he just did it as like a dumb gag. Like which like is not terrible. Like I don't think that like ruins the character. It doesn't ruin the characters for me. No. Like one, Aquaman's half Atlantean. The chances he's fucked a fish person is probably pretty high.
Yeah.
Two, like the Flash, like at least I have an issue with how a lot of things characterize the Flash. But like for what they've done in the DCEU, where he's like just like a kind of not spunky, because that's not the word you should use to describe him, but like
Funky.
funky, yeah. No, not like he seems like he's just like a 20-year-old college kid who has like a decent sense of humor that's just like going with the flow, and I feel like that was in character for him to be like, that's not a rumor, Arthur, actually. You fuck tuna.
Tuna, Jesus.
No, he didn't say that. But yeah, I just feel like that's not that like the worst thing in the world, you know? And like I saw people saying they were gonna boycott WB over that, and I was like, that's stupid. Like, boycott WB over Ray Fisher getting like racially abused on the set of Justice League. Don't boycott them over like a dumb gag that James Gunn did. I'm not calling James Gunn dumb or like the show dumb, because I love that show. I'm saying like it was just a throwaway joke.
Just a gag, yeah.
It was a throwaway joke for fun. Like no one's saying that the characters are like a dumb fucking joke. I think specifically people are like, you're trying to erase Batman and Cyborg. One, Ben Affleck like was probably I was gonna be like, Ben Affleck was probably unavailable filming The Flash, but since Ezra Miller was there, I'm like, that's probably not true. Like he stepped away from being Batman. Like he doesn't want to do it anymore. Who gives a shit? Like at the end of the day, like, would you rather he keep playing the character and be miserable?
Yeah, I wanna see him as Daredevil again.
Oh my god. You know what? I feel like we spent a lot of time talking about like some DC stuff. Let's get to the meat and potatoes of this. What dropped in the big game? What? Because you saw the Doctor Strange footage. I want your opinion on it, and then I'll give mine. You go first.
Wait, that you saying that dropped at the win?
At the Super Bowl, like the
I don't know if
trailer.
I've seen it exactly, because
I think I sent it to
literally.
you.
Oh, the trailer. Yeah, I've seen the trailer.
The one I sent it to you. Yeah, that's what
Oh
I'm talking
yeah.
about.
Why was I thinking that? Listen, man, I'm not running on a lot of sleep today.
Oh, same here. It's fine. I'm running on the caffeine and pizza and sugar.
Yeah, oh no, man, I'm excited. That I can't really give any spoilers for a trailer, but I mean, I think it's very clear that we heard, Charles Xavier there.
Yeah, that was for sure Patrick
And that was
he commented on it actually recently. He was like, since I've been like acting for 60 years, like people imitate my voice all the time. That was you. That was for sure you, dude.
Don't deny that.
He's been caught in 4K.
Yeah.
I would recognize that voice anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, unless it's a fake out and then the movie comes out and that's James McAvoy doing the best Patrick Stewart impression I've ever heard. That's him. That is him.
Yeah.
I'm very excited for that.
I'm hyped.
So am I. Like, those movies are my child. I like grew up watching those ones. I think literally the first superhero movie I ever saw was the first X-Men film. You know what's crazy? Technically Willem Dafoe took Patrick Stewart and Hugh Jackman's record for like the longest running portrayal of a superhero, but now Patrick Stewart like literally can reclaim it because he's coming back in that film. They literally were both Guinness World Record holders, and now like Patrick Stewart was like, run me my fucking plaque back, dude.
Yeah, man. I actually miss the X-Men movies. There's been some interesting X-Men ones over the years. Or not, well,
there's been some bad ones.
There was, yeah.
Like fucking Dark Phoenix. And I'm not throwing shade at the cast of that film, because they're just doing what the writers told them to do, and like what the
a lot of the time it's the writers.
It never comes down to the act, unless the actor's actually a proven bad actor. It always comes down to writing and direction.
Yeah.
Which, like, honest to God, if I were them, I would have just given Matthew Vaughn any amount of money to come back and direct that film. Because Matthew Vaughn directed First Class, and then they used part of his script for Days of Future Past.
Yeah.
Like, he's the guy that directs the Kingsman films.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. I'm like, I would have sold my soul to get Matthew Vaughn to come back and do that. Because like they put the guy, literally the guy that was in charge of the reshoots of the Fantastic Four film, they put in charge of that, of the 2015 one.
Oh.
Because they fired Bryan Singer because it turns out he's a fucking sex pest. Like he's a terrible dude. Which like I'm not gonna be like, you should have just kept him on. There's no proof of that. Like my opinion on stuff like that is you never really know enough to actually be able to weigh in an educated way, at least in my perspective. But like when there's overwhelming evidence of someone doing like that kind of misconduct, obviously fire them. Like why would you keep them on? But also, I would have either just scrapped the film or got someone actually competent to direct it. Also, it doesn't help that apparently they reshot the entire final act as it was too similar to Captain Marvel. Like, I think what was happening in that film was they were using the Skrulls, and then the Skrulls showed up in Captain Marvel, and they were like, just kidding, we're changing them to the Dabari. And then, which, like, is fine, because technically that ties into the Dark Phoenix saga. Like, Phoenix destroys their planet. It was supposed to end in, like, a giant space battle, and then they cut it. Which, like, I wish it did, because then it would be closer to the comics. Because the original Dark Phoenix saga, like, she goes off into space, feasts on a sun, and destroys an entire solar system.
Oh my god.
And then, like, an alien empire, they look like humans, but instead of evolving from, like, primates, they evolve from birds. They're called the Shi'ar. They put her on trial, and she dies. And the X-Men go to, like fight in her name or, like, in her honor or something, and, like, they have a giant battle, and then she sacrifices herself. That would have been infinitely more interesting than what we got. My emotions make me weak. No, they make me strong. Dies.
Yeah.
Sophie Turner is an actual good... Sophie Turner and Jessica Chastain are both actual good actresses. And they were like, let's just give them the worst lines ever. No one will notice.
Yeah, that's why I don't get mad at the actors, man. Unless it's like very clearly the actor's fault, but
yeah.
It's always writing, man.
Yeah. I think of those films though, I think the best things to come out of them though are like I think Nicholas Hoult does a good job as Beast, although my opinion is that Beast should be the same age as Charles or like even maybe a little older. And Nicholas Hoult like was just in like he should also be in his big blue Beast form all the time, but it feels like Nicholas Hoult was like, "Hey, I don't want to spend like hours in a makeup chair. I got a serum." Which is like Mr. Sunday Movies pointed that out where it was like I have a serum in this one. I'm gonna not do that.
Yeah.
Probably the same thing with Jennifer Lawrence not being in her Mystique costume the whole time, which I understand because basically that Mystique costume is just walking around fucking naked with blue paint on.
Yeah.
I would understand why you wouldn't want to do that. But like with Nicholas Hoult, you're just wearing a big prosthetic suit. You don't even have to do prosthetics for your whole body. Just your head and your hands.
Yeah.
And maybe your feet. But like that's about it. And he was like, "Nope, not doing it. Fuck you guys."
Yeah.
Which again, understand. I love Nicholas Hoult. I doubt he'll ever see this, but if he does, I'm not slandering you, dude. I love you.
No slandering.
I'm not. But like, yeah, no, I think Nicholas Hoult as Beast is a good performance. Also, Kelsey Grammer as Beast in X-Men: The Last Stand. He's one of the best parts of that film. Like Hugh Jackman, obviously, as Wolverine.
Discluding, origins.
Yeah, no, we're not fucking. Fuck X-Men Origins, bro. The only good parts of X-Men Origins are just Wolverine and Sabretooth stuff, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
Liev Schreiber does a good job as Sabretooth. To the point where they were going to bring him back in Logan, then he couldn't come back. Which, like, really sucks, because I want to see, like, if they were both old-ass men, like, what would his opinion on him be? Like, what would he be like?
Oh my gosh, I need to rewatch Logan. When did that movie come out? Jeez.
That came out in, I feel like, I want to say 2016.
No, 2017. You're pretty close.
17? Did you look it up?
Yeah.
Okay. You know what's funny? I went to go see that movie in theaters, and then I couldn't get in.
You couldn't get in.
I was like, when was 2017? 2017. I would have been.
They wouldn't let you in.
Yeah, they wouldn't let me in.
Aw,
I was
dude.
a kid, and they wouldn't let me go to see the film. I cried at the theater. I was so upset.
Really?
Yeah, well, I love Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, and knowing that was his last time playing the character, I wanted to experience that in theaters.
I didn't mean to say it really you cried. I just mean really they didn't let you in. That kind of sucks, man. I don't know.
The funny thing is, I went to see Deadpool in the same theater, the year it
and they didn't say a word.
Shit. But when Logan came out, they were like, "Actually, this isn't a funny movie. You'll cry.
Yeah.
You don't want a crying kid in a serious movie. Fuck you." That's what it was.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Apparently, the Marvel Studios had a meeting with him, with Hugh Jackman.
Oh, really?
It was rumored that they did, and I feel like the most likely thing would be Doctor Strange, which is still what we're talking about. We went so off topic talking about the X-Men movies.
Jesus, yeah.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of stuff. We were talking the other day about I told you all the leaks I'd seen, which I can share now if you're down with me getting into that.
I'm down.
So,
Yo, real quick though, how far into this are we?
I have no idea.
Does it not say?
No, Craig doesn't. It's not logging it like it should.
We started at 6:24.
So it's been an hour.
Yeah.
Do you want me to just punch through, or do you want to just keep recording for a bit? Because I can.
Oh, you finish what you're saying. We can cut this. We can cut this.
I was gonna say no. We don't have to cut it. It's fine.
Yeah,
it's not like something personal got said or something
Yeah, true.
So anyways, just getting into them. So from the leaks I've seen personally, we're gonna get the Illuminati, consisting of Patrick Stewart's Professor X. The original reports were James McAvoy, so I'm very surprised that they actually got Patrick. Considering he was like, yeah, I'm done with the character. I don't know if I necessarily want to play him anymore. Because his send-off in Logan was beautiful, I think. Not necessarily the part where he fucking gets stabbed in the chest, but just that he was dealing with all this guilt over basically killing all of the X-Men. And as a way of not remedying that, but throughout the film he learns to embrace what he has, and he basically is referring to Logan in a way where they're a family. And it's really tragic to me that he basically got to experience a little bit of that, and then he died.
Yeah.
Which again is a beautiful send-off for his character. Not necessarily the death part, but that he got to embrace life in his last couple days of living. We're getting Sophie Turner apparently as Jean Grey, the 90s X-Men version of Jean Grey, which also applies to Professor X, because from the previs shots I've seen leaked, he's in the big floating chair from the X-Men animated series, which is very cool because I've always wanted to see that in live action. We're getting the Superior Iron Man played by Tom Cruise, and apparently, according to plot leaks, he got hold of all of the Infinity Stones, and he commands an army of Ultron sentries, which can be corroborated with the Ultron sentries in the trailer. Mr. Fantastic potentially played by John Krasinski, which in a test recording of this episode that I did by myself, went on a whole rant about. So Reed Richards in the Ultimate Universe, for whatever reason, they decided to turn him into a villain called the Maker. My fear is that they'll do that with the Reed on the Illuminati to make it a different take on Reed. And I think that's a stupid idea. I don't think he should be a villain, because the Ultimate Comics popularized the idea that Reed Richards is a piece of shit, and he's not.
Yeah.
like it kind of bled over onto Earth 616 a little bit and into like Fantastic Four, like the 2015 one. Not necessarily that he's a villain, but that he like is kind of careless of like the people around him. And I think that's a terrible way to portray Reed. Shout out to Superframe for saying this. Mitch, if you ever see this, you're the absolute man. I don't know why I said your name like I know you. Reed is a guy that like is so centered on like science and like being right because the last time he was wrong about something, he fucked up the lives of like the 3 people on Earth he cares the most about.
Yeah, I think you told me about this.
Yeah, he needs to be like a character who's like very composed and like very intellectual, but not without his moments of like tenderness when he's talking to his family or like being able to convey that like he loves them. And like the Maker strips all of that away where he just becomes a villain. And I don't want that. The rumor I heard was that John Krasinski was going to play him for just a one-off cameo in this film, which I think is a bad idea. Like if you were going to cast him, just cast him. I actually heard what their plan is for who they're going to cast for Reed. Like I got a leak from a TikTok account called Perfect Dodge. Who like he lives in well not Hollywood, but like he lives in LA. Apparently he knew someone at Marvel Studios that like told him this. I don't know if it's 100% verifiable, but apparently the serious pick for MCU Reed is Glenn Howerton. It's Dennis from It's Always Sunny.
Really?
Apparently that's what they're going for, which like I haven't seen It's Always Sunny.
Oh, dude.
Which like is heresy to some people.
Heresy, but it's like I don't know. That show's amazing.
But like I've heard he's very. Obviously, I've seen that clip, but like, apparently he's their serious pick for Reed, and like from what I've heard, he could do a very good job. If I were casting someone for Reed, though, like given Glenn Howerton's age, I would cast Jason Sudeikis to play Reed. I wouldn't cast Glenn Howerton. I would do Jason Sudeikis. I'd imagine though that superhero movies aren't his thing, and like he probably has been offered some, and he was like, "Fuck that." Which like I'm not gonna judge him for, because if you don't want that to be part of your career, like who fucking cares? Like it's your thing. But like he would be perfect. I did a whole thing on Twitter where I named people I would want to play those characters, but I'm not gonna get into all that now. Anyways, I think back to what I was saying about Reed being on the Illuminati. I think the course of action to do, but like if they already filmed John Krasinski, that's fine. I was gonna say, the Reed on the Illuminati should be played by Yoan Gruffudd, and it should be the same Reed from the Fox films, because it would make sense for that guy to be on that council. Not even because like of like his scientific status, but like if any version of Reed was to fucking be a part of like a multiversal group like that, it would be the one who's like constantly trying to crack new ways of like every new avenue of science. And that's all he was up to in those films. He literally found out a way to like put cosmic rays into just a box to make Ben human again.
Yeah.
Who does that? What the fuck does he get up to in his spare time? And he was like, I'm just gonna put the most dangerous radiation in the universe in this metal box. It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
Anyways, other people on the council include Defender Strange, that we've seen in the trailers, that Doctor Strange with the ponytail.
Yeah.
With the black and red suit that makes him look like Ultimate Doctor Strange. That's Defender Strange. Apparently he was on the Illuminati, but he's dead, and now the zombie version of Doctor Strange that we've seen in the trailer is, I think, the same one. And Namor is also going to be on that council, which, are you familiar with Namor? You are, or you're not?
No, I'm not.
Oh, he's like the Marvel equivalent to Aquaman. He like rules over Atlantis. He's actually been cast as the villain for Black Panther 2, apparently.
Oh?
He's like he beefs with T'Challa constantly in the comics, because technically he rules over basically more of the earth than like anyone on land does, because he rules over all of the sea.
Yeah.
But he's not like a villainous character. He's just like he's an antagonist like a lot of the time because of his views on humanity being in like half Atlantean, half human. He's also technically a mutant because of that, but still. And I think that's it. I think that's it for the Illuminati, unless like for whatever reason they decide to bring back like Black Bolt, but I don't think they will because the Inhumans TV show was not good. That's what I've heard so far from leaks for that. I've also heard Wanda fight someone from the Fox films, like the Fox X-Men movies, which like I heard it was Jean Grey, and then I saw previs shots of her, I guess, in a telepathic battle with Professor X. So that'll be cool.
Yeah, I would have assumed it might have been Jean Grey. But...
Yeah. Also, there were screen tests leaked about like grown-up versions of Wanda's kids from WandaVision, like they'd be teenagers instead of being like young kids.
Yeah,
which I'm excited for, because all that means is we're getting a Young Avengers film soon, because they've been setting them up for a while.
Hell yeah, dude!
Like literally, like this film is going to be introducing grown-up versions of Wiccan and Speed. That's Wanda's kids' code names. And then America Chavez is going to be playing a big part in this film, which I'm very excited. I don't know if it's supposed to be pronounced Chavez or Chavez. I've always said Chavez, but apparently I'm wrong.
Listen, man, I wouldn't take it to heart. It doesn't really matter too much.
I don't know. But like, yeah, she's being played by Xochitl Gomez in this movie. Like we've seen Kate, we've seen a kid Loki, we've seen the Patriot in like the Isaiah Bradley's grandson in Falcon the Winter Soldier. The only member of the Young Avengers we haven't seen at this point, or members I should say, are Hulkling has not been seen yet, but apparently he might make an appearance in Captain Marvel 2. And we haven't seen Iron Lad yet, but considering Kang the Conqueror was cast recently and like appeared in Loki, we've technically seen Iron Lad.
Yeah.
Because he's like a time displaced version of Kang the Conqueror.
Yeah.
That like travels back to the 20th century and becomes a superhero.
Yeah, man.
I'm very like, that movie has a lot of avenues to do really weird shit. Like even if you like just break down the trailers and stuff, like, and watch like little by little, which I did a little bit. Like the America Chavez's star portals can be seen like a lot. That big squid thing that was attacking them is it's supposed to be Shumagorath, but they named it Gargantos because apparently they have issues with getting the name. I think that a lot of people, I've seen the common theory is that the zombie Doctor Strange that we've been seeing in the promo footage is like he got a hold of the Darkhold and he's like using it for nefarious purposes or whatever. Yeah. Or that the villain of the film is going to be the being that like wrote the Darkhold and gave Wanda her powers, the like this like eldritch god named Chthon. But my personal theory is that the Doctor Strange, like the zombie version of him, has gotten access to the powers of the Black Priests, which is like, if you because I know you don't know what they are, so I'll explain it. I did, that sounded condescending, and I apologize. I know you don't read comics.
It's fine.
Yeah. They're like these beings that go around the multiverse. They're like Galactus, but for the multiverse. They destroy universes to keep balance. Like they think they're keeping balance by doing that. And then the 616 version of Doctor Strange became their leader, and he was like, "I'm not gonna let you guys just fuck around. Thanks." I think that that's probably what they're doing in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, simply because of the pose that he hits right at the end of the trailer, which is very similar to Doctor Strange's Black Priest like pose, where he's like sitting like basically like cross-legged. Well, not cross-legged, but like he's sitting like with his legs, like not cross-legged like if you were sitting in a chair, like if you were sitting on the ground. And he like has a bunch of arms out around him, and he's like basically kind of hitting like a chakra pose.
Yeah.
It's reminiscent of that to me, even though like the colors are much darker and it seems a lot more like villainous in nature. I think that that's what's happening. I feel like Sam Raimi is the type to just like dig into like weird comic book shit and do that. Like that's the reason we're seeing fucking Shumagorath. I feel like if Scott Derrickson stayed on, the villain of the film would have just been like Nightmare, and that would have been it.
Yeah.
I'm not dissing Scott Derrickson in any means by saying that, but I'm just saying like Sam Raimi like would like I would expect him to like dig deep for like stuff like that, you know?
I don't think you got to be scared of offending people. So, I mean, I don't. Maybe they'll hear it. Who knows? Or hear
Well, I'm
this.
not saying that because I'm scared of offending them. I'm just like
Yeah.
expressing that I don't think Scott Derrickson is like a bad creative in any way. Because like to give him credit, he literally like if he was involved in like the shit that they did in that first film, especially like visual effects wise, he basically directly adapted Jack Kirby's artwork. Which like it is ballsy because that shit is the trippiest shit I've ever fucking seen in my life. Which is like fair because I'm pretty sure they did that all of that when they were on like acid, but still.
Yeah.
Like especially I think Stan Lee actually admitted when he was writing a lot of Doctor Strange and when Jack was drawing a lot of it,
Yeah.
both on acid, which is fucking sick, man.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy, eh?
Yeah. Stan Lee used to do drugs. um but yeah, like I like the stuff that he did in that film. Um I'm very excited to see what Sam Raimi's gonna get up to. Uh, moving away from the direction side of things, I really like that Doctor Strange is like. I like that we're seeing kind of like he's getting a bit towards the more comic booky Doctor Strange. Uh, where he's just doing like weird magic and shit. Also, I like that they're adapting some of my favorite Doctor Strange outfits. Like he's just dripped out in this trailer, bro.
Yeah.
Like, if wizards could be hype beasts, Doctor Strange would be at the top of that bullshit. Like,
Yeah.
like, have you seen the new Cloak of Levitate? Like, it has that blue patch. He has the rune or whatever on his chest now, and like that outfit, and then the Defender Strange one. Like, even like Mordo and Wong are like dripped out. Wanda is also
Yeah.
like like wizard hype beast, man. Wizard hype beast. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
Oh man,
So much
that
drip, dude.
dripped out. This man
Yeah.
uses the cloak of levitation so he doesn't drown in bitches, bro.
Yeah.
Um. Okay, so I want to get to. I need your personal opinion on something,
Okay.
like specifically related to the trailer, because there's a lot of discourse about it going
Mm-hmm.
around like TikTok and Twitter and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So in the trailer, Wanda says the line, uh, I break the rules. No, you break the rules and you become a hero. I break the rules and I become an enemy. That doesn't seem fair. Like, what is your opinion on that
Well, she's referring to what happened
in WandaVision?
Yeah, that's a little different. I don't know, man. Well, I
I feel
mean,
like
because I think you told me this the other day. It's like I think you said this, or it could have been. I can't remember, anyways. But like, she did kind of like take control of everyone there, and it was just kind of like, I get it. Like you're mourning and stuff, and you're just kind of like, but it's still, I don't know.
I think the only morally reprehensible thing she did wasn't necessarily creating the hex because she did that in a moment of like duress and like stress. Like she's fucked up. Like if you think about it, the events of Avengers Endgame and Infinity War for Wanda were a couple of minutes apart, probably. And then on top of that, like she came back, she couldn't fucking find Vision's body.
Yeah.
And like I don't know how long the time gap was between the end of Avengers Endgame to WandaVision, but like it could be reasonably like it took place maybe actually wait, I think someone told me it might have taken place a couple weeks after. So like Wanda has only maybe been back on Earth like alive for like maybe a month, and like she's probably fucked up from all the stuff that's happened to her. I completely understand why she created the hex. I think her only mistake she made was that when Vision confronted her about it, she didn't drop it. Not necessarily, and I'm not saying like drop it and then your husband and your kids fade into nothingness. I'm saying like just drop it to your house. Doesn't like honestly homeschool them. There it is.
Yeah.
And then I'd also just let Vision know what the fuck is going on so that he could be in on it and not freaking out. Because like he's like, I don't remember my life before this. I'm scared. And then she basically like gaslights him. And she's like, I have everything under control. And then Agatha, who's watching them and like realizes something's wrong, sends in fucking Quicksilver, which I don't think I've ever been more angry than when that fool turned out to be a dude named Ralph Boner and not Peter Maximoff. I was so fucking pissed. I actually was. I fell to my knees in a Walmart, bro. Yeah. I just like. I don't necessarily view Wanda as a villain because like everyone in the MCU has done something bad. There's only a few characters that haven't.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Fucking like. I'm gonna name Rhodey hasn't. Rhodey hasn't done anything that bad. Thor hasn't.
No.
His family has, but he hasn't. He's had good intent. Like the worst thing Thor's done is he almost started that war with the Frost Giants. That's about it. That we've seen. Falcon.
Yeah.
Like who else?
I almost said Winter Soldier until I realized.
Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Ant-Man hasn't done anything that bad. Like, and I'm talking about like things that have had implications on the world because every character's done something bad. But like, Tony Stark used to be an arms dealer, and then he created Ultron. Natasha Romanoff blew up that building with a fucking kid in it one time. Hawkeye went around for 5 years murdering criminals because he was like, my family died in the snap and you didn't. That's not fair.
Yeah.
Like they've all done bad things, but like if you were to define them by those moments in their lives, that takes away the meaning of all the other good things they've done. And I only say this for like fictional characters. Real people are a little bit more complex. But like for like even for Clint, like Kate even brings that up. He's like there's undeniable good in the stuff that Clint does outside of being the Ronin.
Exactly.
And like if you defined him by just being the Ronin, then he's like just a cold-blooded murderer. But like when you look at him outside of that, and then you also realize why he did what he did as the Ronin, you're kind of like, well, I get why. I wish he didn't, but like I understand.
Yeah.
And I have that same feeling towards Wanda. I don't think her doing what she did in Westview takes away from like any of the good stuff she did as an Avenger. The only like the worst things Wanda has done aren't even Westview. She joined Hydra willingly. But I guess they retconned that and you're like, oh yeah, they thought it was SHIELD. But like also like once you realize it's Hydra, you'd be like, I want to get the fuck out of here. She threw that bomb at the building in Civil War instead of away from the building. She willingly helped Ultron. Albeit the second she saw into his mind and saw what he was planning, they dipped, but like still.
Yeah.
Like I don't think Wanda's that like a terrible character. Realistically, the worst character in the MCU was Natasha Romanoff. She's the only one we know of that's killed a child. Or tried to like willingly almost kill the child. Other than like Thanos. Thanos is like, but he's not a hero, so we don't hold him in the same standard.
No. Yeah, no, I don't know. Yeah, there's definitely worse people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't view Wanda as a villain, really.
No.
Cause like it's the same way I view her after House of M. She did that in a moment of stress. And I saw this TikToker like talk about how it's because Wanda is a woman that she gets treated this way, which like maybe you could make that argument for like neckbeardy people.
Yeah.
But like I'm not dismissing like what she said really, even though I did have issues with it, but not like in a misogynist way, just in like a what? Like, because I didn't really understand where she was coming from.
Yeah.
Like I feel like in the comics, what Wanda did during House of M was way worse than WandaVision. Because what happened was, so prior to House of M, like years and years back, Wanda and Vision somehow had kids. And then it was revealed that those kids were pieces of the soul of Mephisto, the devil that like gave Ghost Rider his powers. And then he took them back. And like that broke Wanda emotionally, but like they made her forget about that. And she remembered and was so full of grief from remembering that her kids, like she had children, then lost them in such a terrible way. She made a new reality where like everyone in the Marvel universe got what they wanted, but like because again they didn't ask for that, like she just did that, they wanted to reverse it. Like, and I mean everybody did. Spider-Man woke up and he was like world renowned famous and he was married to Gwen Stacy. Captain America was an old man. I think Bruce Banner was free of the Hulk. Like a bunch of shit happened that was like supposed to be the ideal world for everyone, but then they found a little girl that remembered how everything was from before. She finds all the heroes, and then they go and stop Wanda. And then after they stop her, like they try to foil her, she does maybe the worst thing she's ever done in the comics. Like in a moment of just extreme stress, she goes, "No more mutants." And the world's mutant population goes from like thousands to like under a couple hundred. And like a bunch of mutants die from losing their powers because they're like flying or doing something like that normally they could do with their powers, then they got removed. That's why the X-Men weren't involved in the events of Civil War. There was like so little mutants left that they were like, we're not fucking participating in this.
Yeah. Oh my god.
It was fucked up, man.
Jeez, man.
Yeah.
Well, I do have to get going here.
Oh,
so that's all right.
Yeah. That's totally fine. This is like
I think running around.
This is like a good first episode. Thank you for joining me. Until next time and everything.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
You're talking to me.
Yeah, I was talking to you. I wasn't talking to the viewer yet.
Damn.
My bad, dude. No, but like really, if you listen the whole way through this, thank you for joining us.
You're a G.
Yeah, you're great. We love you 3,000, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I hope people tune back in for this. We're really excited to keep doing this. Hopefully this episode drops on, let me just check my calendar. If I have it done, if I'm done editing it by Wednesday or Thursday this week, it'll be up on the 25th or the 26th of February. So that'll be nice.
Man.
If I get it done all the way. It'll be a good time. Next week I had a fun idea for a new segment that hopefully we'll get to do next week.
Okay. Yes.
Like we got a whole bunch of good stuff coming. I'm excited to get into this and start this journey. Thanks for listening to the Funky Fresh comic show. And we hope to see you again next week. Thanks for joining us. Have a good one.